The French dip, an iconic American sandwich found on the menus of diners and family restaurants from coast to coast. By now, it's probably common knowledge that the French dip was invented in Los Angeles, but do you know the real story? Hi, welcome to my series 101 Dishes of California, where I celebrate the traditional cuisine of the Golden State one meal at a time. But before we continue, what is a French dip? The French dip is, of course, a sandwich consisting of roast beef on a French roll that's been dipped in the juices left over from cooking the roast beef with little more added than maybe mustard, horseradish, or a combination of the two. Both Philippe's and Cole's, the two restaurants that claim to have invented the French dip, feature a house-made blend of mustard and horseradish for their sandwiches. The French dip is a very simple, almost old-fashioned sort of sandwich, but that is part of its appeal. It is at once no frills and at the same time feels a bit elevated from the average sandwich, maybe due to the French roll or serving it au jus. Now again, two downtown LA restaurants have competing claims to have invented the French dip. That would be Philippe's and Cole's, both founded in 1908, and both have their own mythical origin stories for the sandwich. Philippe's claimed the French dip originated in 1918 when owner Philippe Mathieu was asked by a police officer, or by some accounts a fireman or other municipal worker, to make him a sandwich. Along the way, old Philippe dropped the bread in a pan of roasting juices, but the officer asked him to serve it anyway, and he liked it so much that other people caught wind of it, and it gradually became the house specialty of Philippe's. Back then, though, the standard French dip apparently was made with pork. It's not known exactly when beef became the dominant meat in a French dip, but both Philippe's and Cole's offer both variations. In fact, many will tell you the best sandwich at Philippe's is a lamb French dip. Now, Cole's puts the date closer to their opening in 1908 when a customer walked in and asked the chef to make him a sandwich that would be easy on his gums because he had just gotten dental work done. But no one's really sure why it was called a French dip in the first place. Now, it could be because Philippe Mathieu was a Frenchman and it just made sense. Others think it could have been to capitalize on the popularity of a style at the time called the French dip dress. But as with many aspects of the French dip, we'll probably never have an answer to the origin of its name. But I do think it's kind of interesting how the two different origin stories kind of reflect the two different kinds of establishments that Philippe's and Cole's are. Philippe's on the one hand is kind of the official, tourist-friendly face of the French dip. Philippe's has long been a booster of the LAPD. Apparently we have a cop to thank for the invention of the French dip, and cops still eat here frequently. And they look the other way about the sawdust on the floor, which delights tourists, but which has technically been illegal here since the 70s. And of course, Philippe's is also a convenient stop for Dodger fans after a game. Cole's, on the other hand, has long been associated with seedier elements of the urban environment, linked less to tourists and cops and more to bohemians and criminals. Bugsy Siegel made Cole's his unofficial headquarters for a time, and Charles Bukowski was known to drink here quite often. Both have dedicated plaques in the men's room proclaiming they at one time or another pissed here. Cole's is also located treacherously close to Skid Row, and again is more popular with barflies than tourists or hipsters, though their sandwiches are good enough to please anyone who walks through the door. Plus, in recent years, Cole's has been known for really good classic cocktails, but both establishments reflect the historical significance of downtown Los Angeles. Philippe's is practically across the street from Union Station, and Cole's is situated in the Pacific Electric building, which was the terminal for the Pacific Electric red car lines that were Los Angeles' original public transportation system. Back when public transit was more of a thing here in Los Angeles, both Philippe's and Cole's saw huge numbers of commuters pass through their doors every single day. Back then, Philippe's was a true cafeteria, and Cole's was more of a buffet, both featuring a veritable bounty of good food at affordable prices. But with the rise of car culture in LA, both establishments found it difficult to maintain their rail commuter-oriented business models and came to depend more and more heavily on the legend of the French dip. Personally, I don't think the truth of who invented the French dip is as important as the mythology that sprung up around it. The fact that both places have competing origin stories and claims, and both sides have their own devoted cult of followers, I think that speaks to the love the people of LA have for the sandwich and the city. And frankly, I think it's good for the city's food culture to be multiplicitous. If there was only one place that specialized in French dips, they might lose their edge over time since they wouldn't have anyone to keep them on their toes. Plus, they both make them a little different, and I appreciate those nuances. For example, Philippe's dips their bread in the broth before serving, while on the other hand, Cole's gives you a little cup of the jus. Personally, I think Cole's usually has the better meat and bread, while Philippe's has the superior broth and mustard. So who can really say which is definitively the best? But is the French dip still relevant in the everyday culture of Los Angeles? Or are these places just tourist traps trading on a tarnished legacy? The answer is complicated. Few people outside California associate the French dip strongly with the state or the city of Los Angeles, and most residents of Los Angeles probably eat a French dip with roast beef maybe once or twice a year. Unlike, say, avocado toast, as 90% of US grown avocados are grown in California, there's nothing inherent to what's in or on a French dip that would necessarily call the Golden State to mind. However, the French dip does have a massive and enduringly relevant influence on the food culture of Los Angeles in the form of the pastrami dip. See, across Los Angeles County, we have these kind of shabby, mostly Greek-owned charbroiled burger stands, and they all tend to serve pastrami. However, this isn't the kind of pastrami you'd see served in a Jewish deli. Rather, it's thin, ribbony, and fast food ready. Most of the pastrami that's served at these burger places are around $10, maybe less, which makes them beloved by Los Angeles residents looking for a cheap, filling meal. The way this pastrami is cooked involves boiling or steaming it, which leaves behind plenty of juices in which to dip the bread of a sandwich. Hundreds, if not thousands, of pastrami dips are eaten every day by average working-class Angelinos. So although the French dip as made by the big guys is something of a historical novelty, the sandwich does remain as an influential and enduring part of authentic California food culture.